call the meeting to order. Trustees meeting September 16th, 2020. We'll start with the pledge.
Okay.
Pledge allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of America,
to
to
the
the
republic
republic
for which it
which
stands,
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty,
justice
for all.
Hey, thank you. Welcome, everybody. Lisa, if Trustee President Schultz is obviously not here today, so I will facilitate running the meeting. Lisa, can you give us a roll call, please?
Certainly. President Schultz is absent. Secretary Treasurer Horowitz.
I'm here.
Trustee Warner.
Here.
Trustee Pell.
Present.
Trustee Welker.
Here.
We have a quorum present this afternoon, sir.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you very
I
much.
have a number of people in the waiting room. Should I let them in?
You should
or-
bring them in. Yeah, let them
Okay,
in.
cool.
Okay, welcome, everybody. We're going to stick to the list here and stay on topic and keep the agenda moving. I see that we have a lot of items labeled Schultz and Welker, and Ann, I'm going to turn it over to you. Nice to see you.
Okay, thank you. This actually, I'm going to ask for Aram Tartunian from First Coastal's support on, but I just want to give a rough background on, there are 6 contiguous properties here that were all subjected in March specifically of 2018. There were, I believe, 4 nor'easters in a row, perhaps 5. And these properties all suffered significant erosion damage at that point. So Aram has, over the past year and a half, spent a lot of time and energy assembling the homeowners, because a living shoreline is proposed, and the most effective living shoreline is one in which contiguous properties are connected. So Aram, would you like to step in here and describe what your plan is?
Yeah, thank you very much, Trustee Welker. Aram Tartunian, First Coastal Corporation, West Hampton Beach, New York, on behalf of the applicants. James, if you could just put up the overall site plan that we sent yesterday, I think that's a good way to orient everyone.
Okay, yep.
The file should be labeled overall site plan.
You see it? You can see it,
Yep.
right?
Number 4.
Not yet, James.
Just click on it.
Should be up, no?
No, just click on the PDF.
So we have a problem.
There you go. There you go.
Oh,
Cool.
terrific.
Thanks, Charles.
Okay, so yeah, thank you very much, James. So
Welcome.
here we have an aerial view of a series of properties. You'll notice on the left-hand side, which is to the west, there's a bulkhead, and on the far right-hand side, where the red deck is around the pool, that's another bulkhead. And so there are actually 10 properties in between those 2 structures. We are working with all 10 property owners, but the 6 that are highlighted there are the ones where we have proceeded to the point of having a DEC permit, and we wanted to bring them in front of the board and get them approved while we coordinate the remainder of the property owners. So this area has been suffering erosion at a rate in excess of 2 or 3 feet a year. I'm sorry that Trustee Schultz isn't here, because he probably remember back in '95 there was an initial effort to control erosion here with a single row of boulders. You can see them to the right there. Thank you, James. There's about 30 feet offshore right now. And when they were placed, they were well above high water. So despite that initial effort, the shoreline continued to erode. And as Trustee Welker said, you know, we had some crisis in the spring of 18, when a series of storms eroded all the way back to, you see the 3 pools in the center, literally right up to those pools. And we placed emergency fill in front of those houses, as well as the house to the far right, which is 612 Dune Road. Those properties all got emergency fill, all of which, by the way, has been lost since it was placed, but it was necessary to safeguard those structures and the thing we could get a permit for at the time. So we went, we went into our design toolbox and came up with this coordinated approach to the properties, which consists of an offshore breakwater, a nearshore planting, and a landside rock core dune. So, James, if you could just pull up the ground photos that we sent yesterday, we can just get an idea of what this site really looks like.
Yep, just give me a minute.
Sure. So
Is that,
these ground photos were taken in May of this year, and you can see that they're taken at low tide. And I just want to point out a couple of things that are pertinent to our design process, and just to illustrate the current situation and how what we're going to do is going to help ameliorate that. While James is putting that together, I'll bring you up to speed on the permitting aspects. We applied for and have received permits from the DEC for 5 of the 6. Oh, thank you, James.
Yeah.
So here we can see a series of ground photos. They're starting from the east end at 612 Dune Road, looking to the west. That's in the upper left. And then as we proceed down the beach to 618 Dune Road, you can see the situation where the high water line comes right up to the structures there, which are within several feet of swimming pools. And then the lower left, you can see we're at 620 Dune Road, and you can see now the rocks that were placed in prior years just at or about the low tide line. And then the lower right, you see again 624 Dune Road, which is on the west end of the project, and you can see where the rocks are now and the proximity of that. That's a deck, and there's a pool about 8 feet behind those pilings. So our objective here is twofold.
Aaron.
Number one, yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I just want to make note, these pictures are taken at low tide, right?
Yeah, it's the dropping tide. We're just a little bit before low tide. So our design process here is twofold. Number one, we want to stabilize the shoreline, and number two, we want to get something that's sustainable over time, where we don't have to come back and replenish repeatedly. So James, if you could bring up the there's a plan view there, and the file is labeled. I don't know what it's labeled. It shows some.
Cross section and plan view.
Not the section of plan yet. I just wanted to show the
proposed
relationship
breakwaters?
between
The proposed breakwater.
and the right.
Yeah, I got that. Hold on.
That's in the group I sent you yesterday.
Yep.
Right there. So this is in front of 622, 624 Dune Road. And I just want to show you the relationship spatially between what we're proposing, which James is pointing out, and then what is currently there, which are the open circles that are on the landward side. So these structures are very, very close to each other. They're parallel, and they're more or less located at the low water line. And the purpose, well, they're in fact located at the low water line. The reason for that is this meets the design criteria established under both the New York State DEC general guidelines for living shorelines, as well as the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers guidelines for their nationwide permit for living shorelines. So we worked very closely with the DEC to tweak this design several times to get it into compliance with their design guidelines. So James, if you could go to just one of the typical plans and sections, that would be great.
Yep.
And as far as the permitting goes, 5 of the 6 have received DEC permits. The 6th one is in process. but we anticipate getting that very soon because it follows all of the same guidelines that we had put together for the other 5. It's in the era of COVID, we're having all of the issues that you are familiar with.
Aram, I have a question. In this area, the material that's being lost from the beach, is it being transferred to the east, to the west, or is it just being pulled offshore?
It looks like it's going offshore, Ed.
Okay. So it's a kind of a unique site as far as erosion goes.
Yeah,
On the
and
bay side.
basically, yeah, and those two bulkheaded structures on the east and west ends create basically a separate compartment.
Yes.
So nothing really escapes; it just goes offshore.
Yeah,
It
that-
doesn't move laterally.
So by putting these structures at the low water or area, it's going to allow the sand or not allow the sand that's being sucked offshore. It'll be captured there, correct?
Right, it'll be stabilized there, and in the top of the cross section, you can see the design elements we have. So on the far right side is our offshore breakwater sill. Now this is designed, only to be about 6 inches above mean high water. The object is not to create a large visible structure, but this is a tripping structure to create conditions that are conducive to the growth of a Spartina marsh. And then that's what we have immediately to the left of the breakwater. We have a Spartina marsh that we propose to be planted. We will have to place some fill, all clean, compatible sand, just to achieve the proper grade, because as you know, you can't just plant the Spartina willy-nilly. It's got to be at the prescribed between the high and low water, which we're going to be able to do here since our structure's at low water and we're not going to go above high water. And then as you continue move to the left, we have a dune, and inside that dune we put in a rock core, the purpose of which is, from a design point of view, the low profile breakwater is designed for high frequency events without a tremendous storm surge. So the things that happen 2, 3, 4 times a year that would ordinarily erode away the dune are going to be prevented. But it is not designed to prevent a major storm like a Sandy or something like that, where you get 3 or 4 foot of storm surge. In that case, that's why we have the dune and the rock core within the dune, because the dune will function naturally. Sand will be eroded out of it, but then the property will be preserved behind it. And as I showed you in the ground photos, we have the situation where the pool is right there at the high water line, the pool and the deck and the infrastructure. So there's no room for us to give on the shoreline, and we want to create a fixed shoreline that is stable without adverse impacts on adjacent shorelines. So this
is this going to come with a SAM maintenance agreement along this whole stretch when these rocks become exposed, if they have to replenish the sand and try to redo the grass plantings?
Right. That's going to be included as certainly you guys can make that a condition, and we're certainly agreeable to that. And so this design is repeated at each of the 6 properties with a gap in between each of the properties. So the structure sits on the property, but it respects the property line in the manner that the trustees have always wanted us to. But it's also a very important design element, because we don't want water trapped behind here. We want the water to flow in and out. And also, this also provides people access if they want to get out to a boat for mooring, emergency services, things that you don't think of until the dark of night. But it serves multiple roles. It's important to the design, it's important for access, it's important for emergency services, and it's probably important for something else that I can't think of right now.
Horseshoe crabs.
There you go.
That's another reason, because it's a good horseshoe crab site, right, Ed?
Yes. Well, we'll be building the beach up to a natural height, and it will be any place you put fresh, clean sand in that bay where there's not a Spartina marsh, the horseshoe crabs come ashore and lay their eggs. So, you got to take that into consideration too.
Right, and the Spartina marsh is going to be focused behind the breakwaters, and then at the gaps, you're going to see clean sandy beach because
Yes.
there'll still be enough wave energy getting through. It probably won't be able to establish a marsh in that area. That's been the experience. So, you know, in a nutshell, that's our project. We're very proud of this. We spent a lot of time in the design process. We had brought this to the board many, many months ago, pre-COVID. And the reaction I got at the time that I recall was, we like to see it, but we want to see what the other agencies have to say. And I just want to point out some of the differences. Our initial design had the structure at 80 or 90 feet offshore. And so we've pulled it back substantially. And I think it is going to produce a far superior project. We pulled it back from 80 to 90 feet to 30 feet in almost all the situations.
Many of these homes have jet skis that come and go from the beach. So the closer to the beach you have these structures, the rock structures, the safer they will be for the people to navigate these jet skis in and out in small boats. So yes, I think it's a better project.
It's going to be landward of the two bulkheads on the east and west side as well. So it's a you know, a concave you know, shoreline in relation to those other, you know, structures that are sticking out into the bay. So Trustee Welker, that's my presentation, and I'm happy to take some questions.
Does anyone have any additional questions?
I have one concern is when these structures are placed in there during the boating season, I believe there should be some kind of you know, marker or some kind of something on each end of them to designate where they are and where they stop, and for people to come ashore in a boat or a kayak. I don't want people to run over them in a boat, so something temporarily during the boating season to depict each one of these structures along this stretch. I think that would help the boating community greatly up there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I agree with that, for sure, because it's a bay. You're talking about a bay, you know.
Yep.
Living shoreline.
And
That's
removable at the end of the boating season so they don't get broke off during the winter season.
great. Right. Yeah, we're not talking about an ocean situation. It's a bay situation.
It's not open bay though, Ed. I think that's a great idea. But just to, James, maybe if you don't mind putting the aerial back up, just so that it's clear that this is sort of a half moon shaped bay in between the two bulkheads. So,
Yeah, but
and you
one
can
thing you have to remember, just offshore here, there's a very deep dredged channel that runs parallel along this beach, and a lot of people use that channel for navigation. So if they break off to come to one of these houses, you want to make sure that these rocks are marked in a way that they don't run over them.
Yeah,
so
and
they could.
that's going to be a requirement of the Army Corps nationwide permit as well. They have to be marked. We did this on Indian Island, the project we designed for Suffolk County. So
Okay.
there's an approved Coast Guard symbol, and we can incorporate that.
Right.
Excellent.
That's
I think
great.
that's good.
The other thing is, as you already mentioned, Aram, if we could have in the special conditions that the rock core dune be kept covered with sand and planted with beach grass, number one. And number two, in addition to submitting a written report about annual monitoring efforts to the DEC, if we could also receive a copy of that annual written report, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we're definitely going to be doing that because we want to demonstrate the efficacy of this approach.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's great. And we really appreciate that you took the time and made the effort to work with all of these
You're on.
homeowners so that you could make this be the best project possible.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions? I discussed this with President Schultz, and if anyone else, if there are no further questions, I'd like to recommend this to be advanced. All 6 of these to be advanced.
Yeah, I'd like to do it as a block when we
Yes.
put it
It's
forward.
only gonna work as a holistic approach. So I think
Yes.
that's the only way you can do it.
Yep.
And so there's one that's not done yet? Am I correct about that?
One that doesn't have DEC permit yet, right?
Okay.
Yeah, but we're, that's in process. We had a hiccup on getting a copy of a deed that just put it off the timeline, but
Yeah,
I've been assured by the DEC that it's going to get processed.
Right.
okay. I'm
I
good
think
with
it
it.
could advance.
Okay, so Lisa, if we could move these all 6 forward, that would be wonderful.
Okay, thank you, Ann.
Thanks,
Thank
Aaron.
you, Aram.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Trustee
James.
Welker and board, and everyone. Be safe and have fun.
You too, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron.
Bye.
Okay, we have land use here for the next application. The next application, the name is crossed off because it's incorrect. That was a prior owner. I have the application listed as 37 Bay Road, Inc. Attention, Nick Messina. You see what it says? Series of elevated fixed catwalks and gravel paths at grade to provide beach access and kayak launch water access. 2 elevated catwalks, one at approximately 130 feet in length, second at 68. Access stairs 4 total, 2 gravel paths, approximately 75 feet, second approximately 145. Constructed with open grate decking, elevated 4 feet above wetlands. Both the catwalks and gravel paths are proposed 4 feet in width. Approximately 41 oak and cedar trees to be removed. I don't think that's in our purview, that part of this application. This is located in the village of Quogue. Is somebody here from land use to speak on this?
Oh, yes. Hi, Will Bowman from Land Use.
How are you, Will?
Good. I should note, thank you for making the correction regarding the ownership. The upland tree removal, although as you mentioned, not in the purview of the trustees, has been modified based on conversations with the DEC. So that's been removed. That's been changed greatly. I think only 2 or 3 trees are now being removed.
Glad to hear that.
What permits you're indicating? What permits do you have for this project?
At this time, for the catwalks, none. The DEC Corps of Engineers and the DEC and Corps of Engineers permits have been applied, and DOS have been applied for. We're in process with all of them.
Right.
We've received comments back from the DEC related to that upland tree clearing, and those have been addressed.
Okay. Because, a lot of this is, I think, outside really of the purview of the trustees. And I think that this is an application that, in my view, does have the potential to hit a point where there may be some concerns from the adjoining properties. I would like to, I think
Well,
more
normally during this process, Scott, I believe if the Army Corps application for that permit, they do have the adjoining property owners, the ability for them to send letters in response to the project next to them. Am I
Right.
correct, Will?
That is correct.
Yeah, I think
So-
we already started receiving letters from adjoining properties. So
Okay.
I think we're gonna have to take a look at this, and I think that this application's got to be totally cleaned up. In addition, to get it to the point where it's, we're dealing with an application that's within the trustee's jurisdiction and not exposures that are, further landward outside of our purview, especially in an incorporated village.
Is this something maybe we should have a public hearing on if we're getting letters already concerning the project?
It probably wouldn't be a bad idea. I think the office got a couple of phone calls as well. I went down there to do an inspection earlier today to take a look at it, but I was unable to get seaward. They have a lot of excavation, and septic system looked like it was being installed today, and it was just too tough to get to where I had to get to. But at first glance, you know, I really don't think we should be dealing with things that are quite, you know, quite far up into the upland listed
Well,
on this application. I don't know what Sean's opinion is, you know.
Oh, I would, if I could just interject, yes, in terms of the trustees' jurisdiction, obviously it's really just that kind of seaward catwalk on the Shinnecock Bay shoreline, extending from just 15 feet above mean high water to mean low water. This is a very shallow area, so providing a formal recreational dock and float is not preferred or allowed. So in order to provide kind of recreational water access, both supporting paddlecraft, and also the applicant has put a application into the trustees for a proposed mooring. So the catwalk to low water would also support paddling out with equipment to a nearby mooring. So just that catwalk is really what's in trustees' jurisdiction below high water. The landward catwalk is likely also out of trustees' jurisdiction. That one crosses through the densely vegetated upper marsh dominated by Phragmites and Iva. Yes, thanks for the circling there. That's about 130 feet in length, but it's above the it's certainly above high water, above the.
Can I suggest for the simplification so that the board can best do its due diligence on this, and for respect for the other jurisdictions that are involved, could you please amend your general permit application cover sheet to include only the specifics that pertain to this board's jurisdiction, so as that we don't get involved in any disputes or confusion or create any issues out of this, because it's quite convoluted, and I quite frankly would like to do some more due diligence on this before we
Have
advance
permits
this.
from the other jurisdictions been obtained at this point?
No, they have not. We're in process with all of them.
We have asked this before on applications to segregate the work that's going to be done specifically in our purview and separate it out from the other agencies that are involved. So that way, when we look at it and we take a hard look at it, we know exactly what we're doing as far as our jurisdiction. I think that's the easiest, cleanest way.
Especially when I'm looking at it.
I think that's very sensible. So I certainly understand where the board is coming from, and we can absolutely do that. Part of the reason for including everything, we're trying to avoid kind of some segmentation issues. Want to make sure that, but we obviously don't want to make sure that we don't want to ask the trustees to be essentially approving things that are out of your jurisdictional limit.
All right, so let's put this on hold until we receive the appropriate permit application cover sheet, and I think we'll continue to work through the process. That's what I think would be the most sensible recommendation at this point in time. I don't know what the board feels.
I agree with you, Scott.
I agree with you, Scott.
So you don't wish to set a public hearing until there's more specific
Well, we
description of the work?
can't set a public hearing at this meeting.
But we'd have to
Right.
notice a public hearing as well, so.
Yeah, but we want to notice what is in our jurisdiction and a clear delineation of it.
I would suggest that they obtain these other permits because it looks like, to me at least, that some of these may change based on what's granted or denied in those other jurisdictions.
Yeah.
So if they have
Yes.
permits in hand, that is probably the most practical way to approach.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, for the purposes of this work session, we put this on hold. Feel free to submit a new general permit application cover sheet as discussed, and then we'll continue to move forward on what the due diligence is on this application.
Yes.
That's fine. I think the only thing I'd like to add to that is that I'll reach out to Trustee Horowitz to find out any other comments about the plan other than the parts that are within the jurisdiction. That way we can move forward with getting a plan that will be approved by all agencies. As you know, everything's a trick there. We want to make sure that the same plan is approved by all agencies. So it'd be good to get trustees' feedback so that we can make sure that what the DEC or the Corps ends up approving will also be what the trustees would like to see.
Right. No tricks. I think the best thing to do is let's perhaps coordinate on site. Let's let the excavation and all that septic work get out of the way, where we can go down there and take a good look at what's going on, because I was not able to do that yet. Okay, I tried, but there's just too much activity on that site for me to safely.
I always just stomp through the marsh.
What's that?
I always just bring my boots and walk through the marsh.
Yeah, I already went through a couple of rounds of the doxycycline, doing inspections, for this board, and playing Russian roulette. It's let's convene down there when it's appropriate, and we'll move this process. Okay.
That
Yes.
sounds good, trustee. Thank you.
Okay. That's the only application that I had on hold, and I'm gonna turn it over to Trustee Bill Powell.
Hello, is InterScience in? Charles, is anyone from there from InterScience?
1 second.
I have Cold Spring Point, the dredging.
All the people that are here are panelists, so it's either Daphne or Kyle Collins there.
Okay, then we'll put this one on hold.
So moved. Put it on hold for Trustee Powell.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
The
you.
next one's Brian Farrell.
Yes, you gotta let Kyle in.
Good afternoon.
Kyle Collins. How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Good. This is 11 Robbins Lane, North Sea, tax map 0900-062-01-10. It's a catwalk out to a float ramp. Hey, Kyle, I can't walk down there. There's no path. Because I'm
Okay.
at the property.
To go, down at the end of Robbins Lane,
I'm
it's
walking
kind
on
of,
other people's property.
no, Robbins Lane actually goes all the way to the water, the right of way, that whole
Yeah.
private right of way.
Yeah, I saw that. It's
Yeah.
kind of like crappy down there. A lot of weeds and marsh.
Yeah, there's a lot of marsh down there. It's pretty flat from, high water till you get to the tidal wetland line. I think it had changed in elevation at the up around the tidal wetlands, just shy of about 4 feet.
I'm a little concerned on because I'm not really that familiar with this area, this point where you want to put the dock.
Okay.
Make sure there's enough room for boats to get by.
Yeah, I
Yes.
did take a look at that. Between the proposed dock and the closest one is a little over 70 feet.
And also, where you have your float, it's not sitting in 30 inches of water. It looks like it's sitting in 1.9 and 2.2.
No, I mean, if you look at the cross section, and we did do the survey and we put it out, the waterward side where you'd be parking the dock is almost at, it's
Yeah, but you
over
want the inside of the
3 feet.
float. The inside of the float has to sit in 30 inches of water.
Yeah, I can adjust that a little bit out. I just think on the cross section, I can confirm that for you, exactly where it is. I see if I look at because of the way the float is shown on there, and I think I did submit the actual survey, the sounding survey without the float on it. Let me see if I could pull that out.
Yeah, it looks like the dock should maybe move that like 6 feet. And that would acquire the adequate water depth.
I don't know if we need to go, hold on 1 second. Let's see, Fox. Here it is.
That looks like 2.5.
It's at 2.7. I don't know if it has to go 6 feet, but yeah, I can confirm what that is to make sure we have the minimum of 2.5 feet or 30 inches on the inside of the float there.
Yeah. All you would
That
have to
was-
make is the ramp a little bit longer, and that would be better.
Yep,
That's an easy fix.
yep. I'll confirm that for you.
Okay.
Kyle, the community dock for this area is off of Helen's Lane, right? Not off of Robbins.
I'm not sure. Hold on.
It's just to the east. Yes.
Yeah, I believe you're right. Yes, there's a whole little marina kind of
Yes, okay.
community dock over there. Yeah.
Okay. I
Those are
was
the
just
only ones-
concerned.
The only ones who will be passing on the local boats in this one cove.
Yeah,
Perfect.
The marina is in the next cove.
that's
Okay,
right.
That's what I want to check.
And I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I think I counted 6 docks when I was there.
Yeah, 6. Yeah, there's probably a little over a half a dozen. Each one of those properties do have docks to provide access out to the Fish Cove and out to North Sea Harbor there.
Okay, and even if you go out another 4 feet or 5 feet, you'll still be a third, and a third.
Okay.
Are you
So
going to
if you-
adjust it, Kyle?
Excuse me?
You're going to make an adjustment and resubmit?
Yeah, I'll
this?
make an adjustment and, shift it out, extend the ramp a little bit. That clearly shows that the inside of that ramp will meet the minimum of 2.5 feet at low tide.
Is there any other issues with this, Bill?
No, that's the only issue I had. That in that it stayed in a third and a third and a third.
So if he makes those changes, he should be able to meet Blue Book regulations.
Yes. So if the board feels that if he gets this in by Friday, we can put it on for Monday or do it the next meeting, next meeting.
Kyle,
I'll
if
give
we
it-
pushed it off,
I can get it into by, definitely by Friday, probably get it into you by tomorrow.
That'd be good.
Yeah.
We're supposed to be advancing these applications to the October 5th meeting.
is that okay, Kyle, for the October 5th?
That's fine. October 5th's good.
You can take the pressure off, do a nice job, and this way there's no stress on the additional stress on the office and,
Okay. So
we're
if we
dotting
put
i's and
it for
crossing.
the 5th, what is the deadline to get the revised plan in for the 5th meeting?
As soon as you can, Kyle.
Okay.
Yeah, Friday
I'll
will be
still-
fine.
I'll still try to get it in by the end of the week.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Kyle.
Thank you,
Thank
Kyle.
you very much, guys. Have a good week.
Okay, Kyle.
Next one, you have to let Daphne in, please, Charles.
No one else here. Daphne.
I'm here.
the person.
Hi.
Oh, there's Daphne.
Hey, Daphne.
Hey, Daphne. This is 34 Old Fort Lane, Shinnecock. We talked about this a little bit last time. Ed was not here. I wanted Ed to weigh in on this because he knows the bottom pretty good up there. This is a catwalk going to a float, T-shaped float. Can you put the water depths up, please?
Yep. See if I get a better one. I think there's
Okay.
one with the
To be on my plan.
yeah, I thought it was.
Can you hear me, Billy?
Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I'm trying to get the,
You're a little crackly.
There's not much water up there.
no, there's like no water up there.
Yeah, I'm not really too favor of chalk on this because there's no water around it, leading to it or going away from it.
This is on the east.
That's my plan. If you can,
It's cut off. That's the problem.
oh, that's the most important part.
Let's see what I could do here.
Do you have a picture of the overall area to put up, James? Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's,
So you can see there's like deeper water there. And
Does it?
that's where we're proposing the dock to land in the deepest part, which is at 2.3 feet. I think that your office had pulled some files and we had foiled to review the one for the property, which is 2 doors over there. You can see that dock to the left. That was permitted actually 20 years ago, almost exactly, and is very similar to what we're proposing. It ends in 2.2 feet of water. So basically, we're asking for almost exactly the same thing on our property. And it would be 71.3 feet away from their float, our float.
one thing you have to realize, and it's going to be similar to the other project that we did on the west side of Fort Pond, is south and east of that dredged area. It's very shallow there. You
Right.
probably only have probably at low tide 6 or 8 inches of water. So you're basically putting a dock out to a dredged area, which you'll have adequate water, but then you have to get across that very shallow area.
Right. No, I
Yeah, I mean-
understand that, and I'm not sure that my client wants to have any kind of large boat here. I think he's trying to use it for smaller vessels, but wants the ease of the float to be able to access the water without dealing with a ladder with just a fixed dock.
Well, I mean, if we have adequate water there for a float, which we had given on some of the other spots, it would meet our recommendations, right, Bill?
Yes, here you don't have enough. It's only 2.3, 2.2, 2.1, 2.2.
So the dock would have to be chalked like we gave
Right.
the permit for the last time. Daphne, you did the one on the west side of Fort Pond. You have a dock that's chalked there, correct?
On
I
Little Neck?
think that one, we ended up extending beyond the shoal to the further deeper water.
Yes.
But for this one, we are proposing it to be chalked.
So if you chalk it, how far off the bottom are you chalking it? It has to be at least, what, 12 inches?
It would be chalked at 2.5.
30 inches, Bill.
30 inches. So,
We're in 2.3, so it's really
So-
only a couple inches.
yeah, so it's chalked that high. Then you have the height of the float. You're still better off with a platform. Because it's still a long way down at low tide. You're still gonna need a ladder.
A few inches, because these depth soundings should have been taken at low tide.
Yeah. I don't know how the
Probably
board
like
feels.
an inch and a half, 2 inches, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, we have given, permits for other docks and areas very similar to this.
How do you feel, Ed, on this?
What's the condition of that bottom? Is it a hard bottom there, Eddie, or is it a more muddy
It's
bottom?
rocky hard bottom, yes.
So the chalk's, because if you're going into a soft bottom, the chalk's just gonna go right into the bottom,
Into the mud, yeah.
So, I mean, if it's a harder bottom and you got to put like Bill's saying, 5-6 inch chalk or something like that, will it actually do its intended, purpose?
Well, I think you're going to put like a 2x6 on across the dock and let it get chalked on that, not put blocks on the bottom of the dock, because that doesn't work out very well.
No. How
So
is this, Daphne, how this is designed? Is it a 6x6 going across it? I can't tell.
I'm not really sure, but we're showing, we're just showing the chalk that it will be stuck at the 2.5 feet above.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be getting some design standards for this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dock, so that we can see exactly how they're gonna build them and exactly how they're gonna.
I mean, to do this right, Scott, you'd need 4 pilings and put a 6x6 across to each one of the pilings and have the floating dock actually sit on top of the 6x6s that go to the pilings. It's almost like a bridge.
Then we have the weight, to make sure they can take the weight too.
Yeah, so
Yes.
we're showing 4 pilings on the float right now, and we're showing that it will be, I guess we're showing some kind of bracing in between. I'm not really, it's not really super detailed. It's just based on drawings that we've had done in the past.
Can we get that a little more detailed drawing so we know pretty much what we're approving here?
Okay, so you're basically saying you want 6 by 6s going around each of the 4 pilings to brace this at 2.5 feet.
No,
Yes.
6 by 6 going
Across.
from pole to pole.
Wait.
From pole to pole.
So the float sits on the 6 by 6 at low tide.
Right, isn't that what I just said? I don't know.
No, you said going around the outside perimeter. We're going across.
So going across the 20 feet, is that what you're saying?
No, going across the 6 feet.
6 foot.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So just on the 2 6-foot sides.
Yes.
Yes.
So when it comes down, it has to hit the 6 by 6.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I thought you meant you wanted it braced between the pilings in both directions.
No,
Okay.
just like it would be east and west and east and west.
Okay.
So you get back to us with an up-to-date plan on that.
Okay. We can do that.
Okay. Then we'll take another look at it.
Are we holding this, Bill, or what are we doing?
Yeah, I think we should hold it. Unless the board thinks if she draws the new plans, we could put it for October 4th or 5th, whatever. So-
Yeah, I mean, she's got time because it's not going to advance to that next meeting anyway, so.
Yeah.
we might as
Okay,
well get
so-
the information.
So we'll advance pending receipt of the new plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that okay with you, Ed?
Yeah, that sounds good, Billy.
It's far, it's far up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so the meeting would be October 5th, and we'll get something in as soon as possible. Probably
Yeah.
early next week, I would assume.
It will also be via Zoom, yes.
Okay. Okay, great.
Thank you, Daphne.
Thank you, Daphne.
Thank you. Take care.
That I believe concludes our agenda. Permit is this one for Cold Spring Pond. Did anybody from InterScience pop in here at all or no? Guess not.
Not that I know of.
Okay. All right. If anybody has anything else.
Unless you guys want to talk about it really briefly.
No problem.
Can
Bring
we
it up.
Yeah,
Can
if
you
you want
build-
to. I don't have it in front of me. James, can you bring it up?
Yeah, I'll pull it up. Just give me a minute.
Basically, they want to take the dredge spoils in a small dune along the few other houses. They want to spread it all around. I'm not really for it. I've been down there. I go by it with a boat all the time. And Ed, have you been by it in your boat when you've been over there clamming?
I was by there last year after they did the project, and it looked like it's a pretty steep area, but just a heads up, I had a conversation with Scott Hillary on Friday, and they plan to do the dredging in Cold Springs, and I believe it's going to be a considerable amount of material, like to
Yes.
the number of 15,000 cubic yards of material, and they're going to place it on the east side along this area, Bill.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was telling James before. I said, should just leave it alone and put the next batch of sand right down alongside of it.
That's what the way it normally is done, you know.
Yeah.
Grading this stuff and moving it and
It's not a good
manipulating it,
idea.
it just loosens it and it makes it more conducive to being washed away on a northeaster.
You got it.
Who's the applicant on this?
The town.
Town's the applicant.
Inner Sciences.
Into science.
Or the town.
Well, they're the agent for the town.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, but the
Right, so
town
it's a
doesn't
town
own the
project.
property there.
No, it's
Oh,
the,
it's Cold
it's
Springs
Cold,
Association.
it's Cold Point Association.
Where, I don't know where you're getting the town from.
Because it says Southampton Town on the sheet here.
I think they just made a mistake on there, Scott.
You see what I'm looking at?
Yeah.
The agenda.
It says the same
Oh,
thing on-
that's because it's under, because they're taking the dredge spoils from when the county dredges Cold Spring, the mouth of Cold Spring Pond. So that's just the property that it's under, because that's what you guys own, Cold Spring Pond itself. Like if I go to the GIS, like this is what the property's underneath. The name
Yeah,
of the
just-
property is underneath you.
When
That's
I
you
look,
guys.
right, when I look at this agenda, it looks like it's, because we do permitting
Yeah,
for the
I had
town
to-
as well. It looks like it's a town project.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought the same thing, Scott.
But it's for these, it's to the dredge spoil comes from here, which is your property. It's the town property. It's owned
Right.
by the trustees. And the sand is coming from the dredge project to be placed in front of the homeowners on this, where it's always
Got
been
it.
placed. And that's what they're asking for, that spoils to be spread out and then planted with beach grass. The reason why it's underneath that, because it's underneath the town, is because that's where the dredge spoils are coming from. We had to place it under a property and not multiple properties.
Why don't we put it on hold, Billy, until they do the project?
I'm
and
fine
see
with
how
that.
the beach looks, and then we can revisit it
And they
probably
plant the grass.
in January and February. Because
Yeah.
they're gonna have a long time before they're gonna
Oh, yeah.
plant any grass or do anything.
It probably makes sense, otherwise it's gonna
Yes.
be a mess.
Oh,
Yeah, well, we're looking at a considerably large dredging, Scott, probably triple what they put there last time. So I would let them do the project and see how the beach looks after the project is done.
Hey,
When
Ed,
are they?
how far inside are they gonna go?
I didn't see the plans, but they're gonna go probably past Menini's property, probably about, I could say about 700 feet. That whole
Okay.
flat's gonna be taken out.
Okay.
I mean, James, right where that cursor is, right in there, that whole area is gonna be dredged.
Yeah.
When is that happening, Ed?
Not until probably October, because they're doing the September dredge window over on the Southold side right now. So once they get done with those two projects, then they're gonna come over here, and this is gonna be the first project they hit up when they get back to our side.
What else are they doing?
This was supposed to be done last year, but they weren't able to get to it because of the storms. So
Yes.
A lot of bad weather.
They're gonna do
Is
this, and
Is there any clause that once we put the sand up there and spread it around, they can't block people from walking down there? Do you remember that, Ed?
no, I mean, I don't remember how but you're allowed to pass and repass along there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by them, I mean, it almost sounds like if they put fencing up there in the disguise of sand fencing, are they going to preclude people's ability to walk up and down the beach there?
Yeah,
So
that's my point.
Yeah. So I just raised it, Billy. So why don't we let them do the project, and then we'll all go down here and take a site visit when it's done.
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay.
So let's put this on hold for a few months.
All right, it's on hold.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else have anything for the work session? I know, we've got a busy general session. Any news? Ann, you have anything, or do you want to adjourn and?
I have a couple quick things, Scott.
Okay.
There has been a hunting complaint in Mecox. So speaking with Bay Constable Franks, he would like to come in when we get a little closer to the season and do a public service announcement, as he's done in prior years. Given that there are many more homeowners that will be out here this fall and winter. We've thought that that would be prudent in order to educate and inform. We also will try and use social media, the town and the trustee website to do as much getting information out about hunting as possible. So that will be upcoming. So, but the fact that we've already had a complaint is trying to get us moving.
What was
on
the
this.
complaint?
That a duck blind, Phragmites were cut down and a duck blind was exposed that's been there for many years, but this homeowner has purchased the property with completely overgrown Phragmites, and then this is the first time he's seeing the duck blind, so he wasn't aware that it was there. So that's one thing. The Mecox Bay salinity stations are all up and running, complete with signs and a light, and soon Long Island Shore will be able to access the salinity dissolved oxygen. The public will as well in Mecox, which is great. Both Mecox and Sag Cut are closed at this point. There was some overwash from the storm surf from Hurricane Paulette, but they're not at opening points yet. Sag Pond, I had a quick email exchange with Ryan Watson and Dr. Gobler regarding the Sag Pond project that they've undertaken. The first set of oysters that was in there did die, but there was a severe harmful algal bloom in Sag Pond before we opened the cut, but there has been a new set that's been put in there and they appear to be doing well. I think that's pretty much it for now.
Can we get a little bit more information about the oysters dying? Was it the salinity, the low salinity that they had perished from, or was it the blue-green algae? I think that's really important moving forward.
I asked that and they're not sure yet. They are going to be coming in and doing a presentation this fall.
Okay.
So I can absolutely address that with them again.
Yep.
And have you seen any reports on the carp in Mill Pond? I asked.
Not yet. The project was completed successfully, but we don't have a report yet. They also will be coming in to do a presentation.
Oh, good.
They still have water quality studies that they're concluding this fall. At the conclusion of those, they'll prepare a report and then they'll come in and speak about the carp, the floating islands, and the water quality. Squires and Pearson is to be commended because they did a great job with removing the fish each day. Dumpsters were turned over on a daily basis in 80-degree days in August, so that each day the carp were removed. So there were no complaints at all about that. So that was super great. So we're thankful to Squires and Pearson for that.
Any news about moving the islands around?
They do not plan to do that. I asked that. They do not plan to do that at this point. That's not in their plan, but that can be addressed when they come in. Those islands are in for the winter, and we absolutely can ask what or suggest alternative locations.
Because you got those 5 homeowners right there, they all complained.
I had not heard anything from those
One
homeowners.
said they complained right to you. Tom White said they complained to you, and because
I spoke with
the other day
Tom
about
White.
Yeah, I would get back with him again.
I spoke with Tom White, and I told him that I can absolutely touch base back with him again. The islands are, I think, 6 feet by about 15 feet, and there are 4 or 5 of them, and they're tucked in the corner. So hopefully they'll be there for a certain amount of time and then they'll move on. I don't believe that they're obstructing the view there, but we can certainly address that.
Okay, I appreciate that. Thanks for doing that.
And I have a quick question about the duck blind in Mecox. Was it an actively hunted duck blind or was it a derelict blind that was just blown up on the marsh and, you know, lost?
Actively hunted blind as far as I know.
And it was in the proper registered spot with all the, everything was numbers and
Yes.
everything was on it. Okay.
Yes. The concern was that there'd been, I guess the platform was there and then overnight the plywood walls were installed.
Okay.
So the Bay Constable Franks did speak with the homeowner. So hopefully that's settled now.
Okay, good. I have one thing, Scott and everybody. I did have a conversation with Greg Rivara yesterday about doing a survey in Mecox. He's going to go in there next week, dive on the scallops that were placed in there by Cornell and do a survey. So we'll have a report from those guys on the survival of the scallops.
Cold Spring, right? You
Cold
said
Springs.
Mecox.
Cold Springs.
All right. I will tell you that they're making some great progress down at the Baycrest project. I've been popping down there. I don't know if you got to take a run over there, Bill, but hopefully we got a ribbon cutting coming up pretty soon, you know?
That would be nice, Scott.
It would be nice. The prefabricated ramp material is supposed to be coming in very shortly, and they were hard at work on the pier, and you could really see it taking shape very nicely. It's going to clean that whole area up really nice. They did put that little kayak launch area in off to the side. They did the stones with the filter cloth to, you know, ease the erosion there, get that building back up again. And I think it's going to be a nice spot, long time coming. So if you do get a chance to, you know,
Yep.
take a ride over there.
Now we just have to get the town to do their part of the bulkhead.
There's a stark differential between what we got going on and what the town has there now.
Well, that bulkhead has got to be fixed pretty soon because otherwise we're going to lose the road.
Yeah, that's
Gotta
pretty
remember
obvious.
that.
Yeah, it's
All right.
badly deteriorated, but the stuff that, you know, we hold in our jurisdiction and own, and, you know, we're paying a debt service on so that everybody can go down there and enjoy that resource. I can see a lot of kids could be down there snapper fishing, crabbing, and I think people will be very happy to be able to use that ramp again, especially the hunters.
Good.
Okay, so that's where we're at with that. If there's nothing further, you know, somebody can make a motion to adjourn the meeting unless anybody has something else. Sean, we're good? You guys are all set?
I'm
All
good.
right.
Thank
I'll
you, Scott.
second it.
Board.
There's the motion. We got a second. All in favor?
Aye.